Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Satsang. Let me check. Can everyone hear me okay? My voice is a little bit croaky, but can everyone hear me okay? Good. Good. It's lovely to be here. Often, usually, when we first come to spiritual teachings, without even consciously realizing it, we take ourselves to be a body-mind entity. We don't say to ourselves, I am a body-mind entity. It's that knowledge, I'm the body-mind, which is ultimately fictitious. It's ultimately a lie. That apparent knowledge, I'm the body mind, is just there. It's presumed. It's it's been it's become a part of you. Knowledge, I'm the body mind. And you seek from that knowledge. You seek from that place. The assumption is I am a body mind and I am seeking liberation. I am seeking realization. I am seeking enlightenment or whatever. Insert the word that you use. I am seeking X, Y, Z. And then as we progress along the spiritual journey, we come to realize I am not just the body mind. I am the body mind, but I'm not just the body mind. I am something greater than the body mind. There's an animating force, a power. There's something greater flowing through me, greater power here. And I am just a part of this greater oneness. This is very liberating, very healing. Now, I'm not the body mind. I'm not just the body mind. There is a power. There is something greater. This is what I am. In that greater power, I move and have my being in that greater power. I am not what I am. I am that which is animating me. I am not the body mind only. I am that which flows through me. That which animates me is that which animates the plants and the trees and the planets and the stars. Oneness throughout the entire material, physical world, which is all just spiritual. It's all just one spiritual expression. But there's still a sense of me. There's still a sense of me. There's still a sense of me as a body-mind entity, which is a part of a greater whole. This means we haven't truly realized what we are. Bhagavan Ramana teaches us that as long as a trace of individuality remains, a trace of individuality remains, the sadhana, spiritual practice, must be pursued. And it will be pursued. Whether you like it or not, you will still be seeking. If we progress further and discover what we are, we go towards this sense of I. We discover something radical, which is not discovered by a person. See, the previous insight was discovered by a person. The person starts to realize they are a part of a greater whole. Person means body mind, or it means ego, or it means ignorance, or it means illusion, or it means maya, or it means fiction, or it means falsehood. When we go further, we discover actually we are not the body mind. We've never been the body mind, and we have nothing to do with the body mind. And this is total liberation. And it's totally counterintuitive to the entity that considers itself to be a body mind. Of course it is, because that entity is full of ignorance. It is not real. But how seldom this teaching is given, and how often it is corrupted. And that is good. That is good. Because that is the way things are meant to be. Everything has its place. When you seek, you will find. And your sincerity, your earnestness, your self-honesty, how honest you are with yourself, this will determine how sincere you are in seeking something true, real, free from suffering. This desire is within everyone, each and every one of us apparent body minds, is the desire to be happy without suffering. As Bhagavan himself writes right at the beginning of the text, Who Am I? All of us desire this. This is our seeking. This is our impulse to seek, to find what we truly are. And that will continue until liberation is full and complete. And if you pretend or convince yourself through deception, through lack of self-honesty, through lack of sincerity that you have found before you have found that truth before you have found that truth, it will create a apparent barrier, block on the path. But it is all good. It's the way it's always been. And on the level of Maya, it is the way it always will be. It's the way it's always been on the level of Maya. And on the level of Maya, it is the way it always will be. That middle stage where you feel like you are the body mind, but you are not just the body mind. I call this partial non-duality. It's actually duality. There's nothing wrong with it, in meaning that it is fine. It's a stage that most spiritual seekers go through. That's what I mean. There's nothing wrong with it. There is something wrong with it in that it is not true. So in that sense, it's wrong. But this is the way spiritual teachings can work, is that we go through stages. On the body mind goes through stages. Apparently, we go through stages. So if somebody's at the stage, let them be at the stage they are at. Let people be at the stage they are at. If somebody has just started to learn the alphabet, they've just started to learn to read, don't convince them to do English literature at university. Let them learn the alphabet. Let them follow their path. You see? If you say to them, no, no, that's baby stuff. What you really want is, you know, Tennyson, Shakespeare, you know, Tolstoy, whatever it is, then you are interfering because of your intellect. That is not love. That is not compassion. That's dogmatism. That's creed. It's ego. That's okay too. It's part of our journey too, isn't it? Somebody's just learning mathematics, just learning about addition, subtraction, basic arithmetic. You don't say, oh, you need to learn about calculus. You need to learn about differential equations. That's what it really is. That's where it's really at, is it? Isn't it? No, let them. They may never be interested in calculus, differentiation, integration. They may have, let them do what they want to do. Why are you interfering? They may be happy with addition and subtraction. So this middle part of the teaching is partial non-duality. The first part of the teaching is a dualistic approach, Dvaita, D-V-A-I-T-A. Dvaita means dualistic, duality. The middle part where you feel like you are a part of something greater. You are the body-mind, but you're not just the body-mind. And life is a flow in consciousness, an appearance within consciousness that is constantly evolving and flowing. This is what I call partial non-duality. It's like an organic model in a way, or it's thinking you're part of something else. In Vedanta, broadly speaking, this is called Vishishtadvaita. Vishishtadvaita. There's a school of Vedanta called Vishishtadvaita, which, broadly speaking, it's a bit more complex than what I've explained. Broadly speaking, says you are part of a greater whole. There is God, and there is you, and you are not two, and you are not one. Meaning you're not the same, but you're not different. This is called Vishishtadvaita. I translate it as partial non-duality. Sometimes it's called qualified non-duality. Typically, it's translated as qualified non-duality. But it's pretty, I mean, no one really understands what that means. That's the problem. You say qualified non-duality. It's partial non-duality. Obviously, they wouldn't use the word partial. That's what they call, say, qualified non-duality, which is kind of like a meaningless phrase, like so many academic phrases. That's my opinion, at least. Maybe I'm not aware of some other interpretation of that term. And then you have, so there's actually a school of Vedanta called Dvaita Vedanta, dualistic Vedanta. Dvaita Vedanta. They believe, completely contrary to the scriptures, but they interpret the scriptures in their own way that make it sound that you and God are fundamentally different. You and the divine are fundamentally different. It's total opposite of what the Upanishads say, but they've written vast commentaries. The Dvaita, dualistic school of Vedanta, has written vast commentaries proving, in quotes, that the true Upanishads, the Upanishads are teaching dualistic duality, right? I mean, anyone who's read the Upanishads will find that very difficult to believe, but they've done that. There's lots of commentaries, and there's a whole lot of people who follow that. And then there's the Vishishtadvaita, and then there's the oldest school, the original school of Vedanta, which was never called Advaita Vedanta, but now is called Advaita Vedanta, which means non-dualistic Vedanta. The reason it's now called Advaita Vedanta is because of the invention of the other two. Before it was just called Vedanta, or the Upanishads. But now we call it Advaita Vedanta to differentiate it from the later schools, which are only a few hundred years old. Whereas the Advaita Vedanta school is a few thousand years old. The Advaita Vedanta school say, you are that. You are not the body. You are not the mind. You are not the world. You are that. Go within, discover what you are. Now, with the Vishishtadvaita, the partial non-duality, which is actually a dualistic teaching, still dualistic, because there's a me and a not me. They may use words to try and pretend there's no me and no not me, but there's still a sense of a me in something greater than a me. And there are two basic types of Vishishtadvaita. One is like the non-doership teachings, and one is the consciousness teachings. I'm broadly categorizing it. You see this through all the traditions. If you look at the Buddhist traditions, the Tibetan Buddhist teachings, the Taoist traditions, shamanistic teachings, Gnostic, Christian, Sufi, mystical teachings, you see these different broad categories. One type of Vishishtadvaita is about non-doership. It's basically about going with the flow. It's like there is an animating force that animates me, that is greater than me, and I am one with it. And if I can get into tune with that, if I can get into sync with that, then everything will be unfold perfectly. But I still see everything from my own point of view as an individual body mind. That's one form of Vishishtadvaita. The other form of Vishishtadvaita, or partial non-duality, is the consciousness model, which says that what I am is awareness. They don't use the word consciousness, they tend to use the word awareness, which I think gives something away as well, because there's some nuances in these English words, these words in the English language. They usually use the word awareness. They say what you are is awareness, not special awareness, but just everyday, ordinary awareness. And that is what you are. You are the screen of awareness, and everything appears within that screen. And you are that. You are that space, that aware presence in which everything comes and goes. And what they cannot explain in that version is why you see things from your point of view and not someone else's point of view. You know, do we each have our own awareness? So are there 8 or 9 billion awarenesses, consciousnesses. And how do these all interact? And how do we know these are all one? How do we know these are not all separate? They cannot really give an explanation for that. And it's essentially, they're just equating the body consciousness, which is ignorance and Maya and ego, with pure consciousness, which is your true nature, your true self. So remain stuck in this duality. And then there's sort of other teachings which kind of muddle these two together, and they become very confusing if you're a thinker, if you're somebody who likes to understand things. If you're not a thinker, you just go with it. The problem with that is that it doesn't end your suffering, and you'll keep on coming back to teachings again and again and again. You'll think, why is my suffering not ending? I get this, but why I don't quite get it still? Why? If you're a thinker, you'll realize there are logical inconsistencies. What is the truth? Am I a part of a greater whole? Or am I awareness consciousness? And how can these be exactly the same? And if I'm awareness consciousness, what about somebody else's awareness consciousness? Why do they have a different view of the world to me? You know, I'm in London. I can see Big Ben and Tower Bridge, and then you're in Paris and you can see the Eiffel Tower. So that's two different consciousnesses now, isn't it? And then they'll use the flow type teachings to explain that. But it doesn't make sense. Or they'll say it doesn't make sense, but the seeker will still be stuck in this partial non-duality, which is actually duality. So Bhagavan and the scriptures, the traditional Advaita scriptures, and the early Buddhist scriptures, they all give us a way out of this, which is the same essential method. And all true spiritual teachings contain this method in them. All liberating spiritual teachings is what I mean by that, contain this method of deep silence, deep introspection, deep discovery. They phrase it differently, but it's the same essential thing. And only when that occurs is non-duality truly realized, and does suffering and duality, ignorance, falsity, illusion end. So we have the dualistic teachings, which say I and the world are fundamentally different. They can be theistic or non-theistic, the dualistic teachings. Some of them involve God, some of them don't. You've got the partial non-duality teachings. They're usually either go with the flow, I am part of a greater power, or you can call it it's like an organism where we are like part of a greater organism, like the Gaia hypothesis, this kind of type of thing. The universe is one giant organism, and I am one cell in that giant organism. This is another form of partial non-duality, Vishishtadvaita. Again, that can be theistic or non-theistic, or you can be the consciousness form. I'm the screen of awareness in which everything happens. And then you've got the true non-duality, which cannot actually be understood. One of the features of the false teachings is that they actually make sense to the mind. They can be explained, they can be understood. Whereas the true non-duality cannot be explained, cannot be understood. The other thing about the false teachings is they don't require meditation, silence, deep introspection towards the I am, whereas the true teachings do. Again, it's not our job to convince somebody. People will come to this only when they're ready. If someone asks you, or it feels natural to talk about this, you're free to talk about this, of course. And I encourage you to, if you want to, if it feels safe for you to, if it feels right for you to. But I also encourage you not to force things. Many of you here would have had experiences of trying to talk to people about these things, especially when you first get into it. So the false teachings, they almost always don't require meditation, deep introspection. They stay on the level of the body mind. All these Vashishtadvaita teachings, partial non-duality teachings, they're all on the level of the body mind still. There's some genuine insights there often. They're still on the level of the body mind. I saw a post today from someone who's a Vedanta teacher, and actually a very good Vedanta teacher, in the sense that they teach what they teach very well. And they said that according to the Vedanta teachings, what you are is just ordinary, everyday awareness, which of course is the total opposite of what the Vedanta teachings say. The Vedanta teachings say you are not ordinary, everyday awareness. They say that is Maya. That is the ego awareness. That's the awareness that goes through the body, mind, through the senses out into the world. Yeah. Bhagavan Ramana called that Sutarivu. Sutarivu means the consciousness that goes out, the outward facing consciousness, the pointed consciousness, the consciousness that juts out through the body, mind, and senses. Sutarivu. It's a synonym for the ego. What you are is prior to that. You're prior to that Sutarivu. You're prior to the awareness of body, mind, world. That is all ego. That is Maya. So these teachings are often distorted. See Mandukya Upanishad, verse 7. Let me see if I can find a copy of it, and then I'll read it to you. So Mandukya Upanishad, verse 7. Some people think that Mandukya Upanishad is the most important Upanishad. It's the shortest of the Upanishads, you see. So it gives the most concise teaching. Oh, we have a question. I'll answer the question shortly. Doesn't Michael Langford say the same? Awareness is just ordinary, everyday awareness. Well, does he just say that? Does he say that awareness is just ordinary, everyday awareness? Ultimately, he does not say that. Does he say that? Yes, he does. At the beginning. You read the whole book, The Most Direct Means to Eternal Bliss. At the end, he says, by the way, why do I say that awareness is just ordinary, everyday awareness? It's because you need something when you're first starting out to hold on to. But when you go deeper, you realize that is not what you are. That is just how the teachings are initially given. Mandukya Upanishad is the shortest of the Upanishads. And verse 7 is like the culmination, middle of the Upanishad, where the one of the highest teachings is given. So some people consider this to be the most important verse in the most important Upanishad. But here it is anyway. So the verse is about Turiya. Turiya means the fourth. It means your true self. Turiya means yourself. This is described in the verse, right at the end of the verse. The verse will tell us that Turiya is the self. But it starts off speaking in terms of Turiya. Verse 7, Mandukya Upanishad. Turiya is not that which is conscious of the inner subjective world. That means your mind, your thoughts, your feelings, emotions. Turiya is not that which is conscious of the inner subjective world, nor that which is conscious of the outer objective world, nor that which is conscious of both, nor that which is a mass of consciousness, meaning in the ignorance of deep sleep. It is not simple consciousness. It is not simple consciousness, nor is it unconsciousness. Unconsciousness means the void, the emptiness, when there's nothing. It's not nothingness. It is not simple consciousness, nor is it unconsciousness. It is unperceived. It is unrelated. I think that word unrelated is a translation of asanga, which we mentioned last meeting, meaning no attachment, no connection to anything. It is unperceived, unrelated, incomprehensible, uninferable, unthinkable, and indescribable. The essence of the consciousness manifesting as the self in the three states, it is the cessation of all phenomena. It is the cessation of all phenomena. It is all peace, all bliss, and non-dual. This is what is known as the fourth, Turiya. This is Atman, the self, and this has to be realized. See? It is not simple consciousness. It is the cessation of all phenomena. It is not that which is conscious of the inner subjective world, nor that which is conscious of the outer objective world, nor that which is conscious of both. So we can see the Upanishads, they try and go through everything very systematically so you don't make any mistakes. They try and make everything very clear. But if we don't pay attention and read it properly and we don't remember what is written, then we will get all these false understandings of what the teachings are. You are not ordinary everyday awareness, meaning you are not that which is aware of the body-mind world. That is ego. That is Maya. You are that. You are the source of that. And it's to that which we are meant to pay our attention to. That's why Bhagavan says, to whom does all this arise? To me, who am I? If we are ordinary awareness, that means the truth is able to witness the false. If all this around us is false and we are the truth, that means the truth is able to see and sustain the false. Anyway, I will stop there for now. Been speaking for some time. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you in this way.